We want to now shift conversation back to the ongoing parasite that we've been seeing all across the country grow. You've probably been seeing about it all over social media. This outgoing or cyclosporiasis outbreak. We know now if there's been more than 7,000 cases reported across the country from the CDC, most of those cases in Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. But we know it has now spread to parts of Virginia as well as parts of North Carolina as well. So we wanted to dive deeper into this, and we want to bring in live with us this morning Dr. Rebekah Sensenig, who is a infectious disease specialist over at Riverside Health. And first, Dr. Sensenig, thank you so much for taking part of your morning to speak with us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So I'm sure you've been probably paying a lot of attention to this over the last several weeks. You know, we've been hearing a lot that it comes from, unwashed lettuce or maybe salads or produce. Kind of tell us what we're seeing here locally in our area when it comes to this infection.
Yeah, so right now in Virginia, there's been 37 confirmed cases. Virginia does update this monthly, however, so I'm sure we're kind of lagging behind a little bit with that. Those are properly diagnosed cases, so there's probably a lot more that haven't been diagnosed yet, and I'm sure we're going to see that number increase. Right now, the thought is that this is linked to lettuce, most likely bagged lettuce, but that's not confirmed at this point.
Okay. And I know we've been seeing, from CDC saying, hey, make sure you wash everything, those sort of things. I guess who would be most vulnerable for this, or is it kind of this can happen to anybody?
Well, this disease can certainly happen to anybody, but the people at risk of more severe illness are going to be the extremes of age, so the very young or the very old, pregnant women, and then anybody who's immunocompromised. For most people with a normal immune system, they'll be able to get through this infection with or without treatment and do well. But for those extremes, they're at a much higher risk of severe illness.
Okay. And I know we've heard some of the symptoms is obviously, unfortunately, extreme diarrhea, I believe. Is
Mhm.
that one of the symptoms still, or what are some other signs that people can look out for? And then let's say if you do have it, what do you do?
Yeah, so this illness certainly, diarrhea is the key to this illness, and it's not just mild. It can be pretty intense and explosive at times. The diarrhea tends to go throughout the daytime as well as through the night. So you will know typically when you're sick if you have this. Um, Typically, this has an illness that kind of comes and goes, which is pretty unique to cyclospora. So people will become ill, they'll have their diarrhea illness, and then what will happen is they'll get better, they think they're recovering, but unfortunately, it can come back again after a couple days, and that's due to the life cycle of the organism. Not everybody needs to seek medical attention. Typically, we say if you've had more than 2 to 3 days of watery diarrhea, or if you have any symptoms of dehydration, because that's the biggest risk with this illness. So if you start to notice that you're becoming weak, lightheaded, your urine becomes a very dark color, you're unable to keep any, oral liquids down, those would be the times you'd want to seek attention. Also, if you do have the relapsing illness, that would be a time to seek attention because you're most likely going to need antibiotics at that point.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like, is this something where you would have to seek antibiotics, or is it like, hey, pump your body with fluids, maybe take some
Mhm.
over-the-counter medicine to kind of treat this?
Yeah, so many people can control this illness just based with their immune system and do well. But other people will need antibiotics. And, that has a lot to do with your immune system, your genetics, all of that. Also, the number of parasites that you, took ingested. So, what I would say is, again, you can try to fight it at home, but if your symptoms are persisting, that's when you would go to your doctor. It is a special test for cyclospora, but everybody is aware of, how we do test for this now. And then the treatment right now is Bactrim, and a typical antibiotic that you would take twice a day for 7 to 10 days.
Okay, well said. And I guess as we continue to move forward with this, obviously you all and other doctors kind of continue to look at this. Where do you think the end game is with this? Do you say like this is kind of going to eventually, hopefully, go away within the next few weeks, something that continues in the fall, or is it kind of hard to say?
It's hard to say because we don't know where the outbreak is coming from at this time. So, typically when an outbreak like this happens, everybody's trying to figure out, what is the source of this? Is it a single farm? Is it a produce area that where they're washing the produce? And we haven't figured that out yet. Once we figure that out and we can say, okay, this is coming from this farm, we can stop that production, and then typically this will, fade away. But again, we haven't figured that out yet. So that's the big issue currently.
That makes a lot of sense. And I guess one final thing before we let you go, what is, I guess, your guidance for, people out here listening right now? Maybe it's like, hey, I want to go to the grocery store, but I'm hesitant to reach for that lettuce, or maybe I'm scared to go to a fast food restaurant and get a hamburger with lettuce on it. What should we look out for and should partake in, I guess?
Yeah, so we're not telling people to avoid, produce at this point. Produce is very healthy. You still want to use it. We know that the most common etiologies of these outbreaks are lettuce, specifically bagged lettuce. And then things like berries have been linked to them, raspberries specifically. Also things like cilantro, some of, rosemary. There's also been snow peas in past outbreaks. What I'm doing and what I recommend for people is I'm still buying lettuce, but I'm not buying bagged lettuce. I buy heads of lettuce, and then I'm taking it off a couple of the leaves, of the outer leaves, and then washing that in water. That will help decrease the risk. I'm also going more towards produce that can be peeled. So cucumbers where you can peel the outside, fruits that you can peel. Those are going to help protect you from getting the cyclosporiasis. And that's what I'm doing personally at home.
Okay. I think that's great advice right there. I'll certainly have to take some of that myself. But I think that works. Is there anything else you would like to add that you think we may have missed?
No, I don't think so. The only other thing would be that you can cook produce. I know a lot of people don't want to cook it, but if you get it to above 70 degrees Celsius or 158 degrees Fahrenheit, it will kill this parasite. So if you really want your berries, you can make some berry pies, and that would still be safe.
Man, that sounds good to me. All right. Well, we appreciate you taking part of your morning to spend some time with us, Dr. Sensenig. Again, infectious disease specialist over at Riverside Health. We appreciate it so much. And as she mentioned, again, 30 cases confirmed here in Virginia. We know at this point about 7,000 cases have been confirmed nationwide, most of them in Michigan and Ohio and West Virginia. But definitely, like she said, wash the produce if you have to, if you do want to eat produce, and just be safe out there, everyone. Hopefully this doesn't last any longer and continue to spread.